Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the May 2026 meeting of the New Jersey Butterfly Club. It's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Astrid Vargas, conservation biologist and author of On a Butterfly's Wing, Lessons from Nature on Embracing Change. In her book and today's presentation, Dr. Vargas explores how the transformation of butterflies can offer lessons about resilience, renewal, and embracing change. Blending science, personal experience, and conservation, she invites us to reflect on our connection to nature and what these extraordinary creatures can teach us about our own lives. So thank you for joining us today, Dr. Vargas, and now we turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. I'm talking to you from London. It's mid-afternoon here, a beautiful sunny day. And thank you for making the time to spend this time together. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here. And I hope that we can share the presentation. Let me know if you see it.
Yes, we see it.
Okay. Oops, hold on. Let's go to the beginning of the beginnings. So first, I want to introduce myself a little bit. I will continue to share. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm a conservation biologist. I've dedicated my life to the recovery of highly critically endangered species, mostly mammals. So, why can't the meeting is recording? Okay. Admit, for some reason, I cannot move. How strange. There we go. Okay, so here are some of the species that I work with. When I was very young, I did my PhD on the endangered black-footed ferret. I lived in Wyoming for a while. Well, I have to say, I was born in Puerto Rico. I grew up in Spain. I'm from a Spanish background. And at some point in my life, very young on, I wanted to work with animals and wild animals, not any animals. So for a girl growing in a city, this wasn't easy. I was growing up in Madrid at the time. But throughout my career, I studied vet medicine, became a veterinarian, but I always wanted to do wild animals. So ended up volunteering a lot, and eventually I got a scholarship to go to Wyoming and to study the endangered black-footed ferret. That at the time there were 10 individuals left in the world. It was critically endangered in the early 1980s. And then I've from black-footed ferrets, which are not doing so bad anymore, but still they are considered critically endangered. I've worked in many continents, many years in Madagascar. And then another of the big projects that I've devoted my life to was the Iberian lynx. The Iberian lynx is one of the, it is the most endangered cat in the world. It was critically endangered with less than 60 animals. Then we've been breeding it in captivity, reintroducing them into the wild, and now there's more than 3,000 in the wild. So it's out of the endangered species list, and it's considered a good model for how can you successfully return a very endangered carnivore back into the wild. I've also worked with lemurs in Madagascar for many years. This is the very endangered golden crown sifaka, with jaguars in South America. And then you may wonder, then why butterflies, because all my life has been devoted to mammals, but I'll explain it a little better later. But at some point, after dealing with all these very endangered animals that we have to breed in captivity, I thought I really want to work on ecosystems. I think we need to have a systemic view of the whole entire picture, and a species at a time. We don't have time for that. We need to look at ecosystem restoration as a whole. So I began to work on ecosystem restoration and including the endangered species aspect into it. And at some point, I created my own initiative, which is called Inspiration for Action, which is collective creativity for people and for nature. I understood that we really, environmentalists have a very poor narrative about what we can do for the environment. It's very doom and gloom. And I think we need a very positive approach to how we talk about this, our potential to restore nature. So I established Inspiration for Action. You can look at it if you enter Inspiration for Action. It's about a mix of conservation, community, landscape restoration, and art for action. I really believe in the enormous power of art to transform our lives and to transform our environments. So while I was doing all this, the endangered species, the ecosystems, and setting up Inspiration for Action, I read a piece of news. It was 2018, and the news said something like this: worldwide, butterfly numbers have decreased between 70 and 80% in the last 50 years. And I was thinking, all my life working on very endangered animals, and this is an endangered entire taxonomic group. It's just not a species, it's the whole entire thing is collapsing. And why don't we talk more about this? Why we're always, well, we talk about bees, but not so much about butterflies. Lately, a little bit more, but in the 1980s, or no, in 2018, it was not really so very much discussed. So basically we have this is part of the illustrations. All the illustrations you will be seeing here are part of the book on a butterfly's wing that I'm presenting today, along with many other aspects of butterfly recovery. But anyways, when I saw this, and imagine if I've dedicated my entire life to bringing species back from the brink of extinction, I thought I have to do something for butterflies. I have no idea what it is because I don't know butterflies at all. I know carnivores and I know a very different kind of creatures. But this is a world without butterflies would be a very, very sad world. So at the time I was living in Amsterdam, and I set myself to set up a breeding program for butterflies in my rooftop terrace. I got 5 local species, some of them migrating. And well, before that, I wanted to explain something that you all know so well because you belong to a butterfly conservation association, to NAVA. But many people don't even notice these things, no? But the reason why the insects, the whole insect world is collapsing is basically written in on our windshields. Our windshields don't have to wipe so many insects anymore. I think this is happening worldwide. You'll probably see it in the States. When I was working on black-footed ferrets, I lived in Wyoming, and we had to stop all the time to clean the windshield wipers, to wipe the windshield. And nowadays you can, in a whole month, you don't have to really do it. It shows, it's written in our windshields that something is really not going well for the insects. A lot of it has to do with habitat loss. The use of pesticides in agriculture has a lot to do with the decline of insects, including butterflies. And of course, all the patterns of climate change are really affecting pollinators. So why is this important? Why is it relevant to us? If, there's so much misery in the world and there are wars and people are hungry, why should we care about insects if it's really great not to have to wipe our windshields or not to get bitten by them or whatever? But insects are basically such a crucial part of the web of life. As E.O. Wilson said, if insects were to vanish, our environment would collapse into chaos. Without the insects support so much of our well-being. They are engineers, recyclers, we are pollinators. They actually keep the living world in motion because they feed all the birds, they feed lizards, they recycle debris, and they pollinate 80% of what we eat. 80% of our crops are pollinated by wild insects, and 90% of the wild flowers are pollinated by insects. They're hugely important, and we don't give them the credit they deserve. And basically, they are declining, as we see in this picture, at a very high rate. So then I set myself to start breeding butterflies in my rooftop terrace and taking pictures of them. And then with these pictures, I'm making these collages. These are wings of butterflies that I was breeding. And then I would make little collages too, because I like the artistic part of things, although I'm a biologist. But many biologists are they love art. Many biologists do a lot of artwork. So anyways, as I was breeding these species, I was thinking, oh my God, they are really incredible. I started to be amazed about their ability to change so much in such little time. And as I was looking at them, I could see them coming out of an egg and then turning into a caterpillar and then shedding skin, leaving that skin behind and becoming something different, another kind of different caterpillar. And a few days later, and of course, they have to do this, they have to shed skin in order to grow. And I was thinking, wow, it's kind of like us, as humans, we need to shed all behaviors, all skin, if we really want to grow in life. So then I was curious about what can butterflies teach us about life. Um, because, of course, there's biomimicry. The world has been out there for eons and billions of years, and well, a living world for millions of years. And there's so much that nature has already figured it out. If we look back to nature, we can learn so much. I mean, in fact, there's a lot of technology that has been inspired by butterflies. I may talk a little bit more about it. But anyways, as I was still doing my ecosystems and my carnivores and all that stuff, I was like, my God, these butterflies have so much to teach. It's incredible. And then the most amazing thing is that this animal, this caterpillar, and this butterfly up here are the exact same creature, the exact same DNA, the exact same basic components, but it's fundamentally reincarnated into something completely different. So it's like, how the hell can they do that? And so fast. So then I was fascinated with the whole physiology and just everything that it's not that I didn't know that butterflies came from caterpillars, but to see it with my own eyes, all that transformation was like, wow, really mind blowing. So then it's like, so how do they do it? What happens here in this chrysalis as they move along? And as you know, they change hugely. No, this is a pretty good one of that. Oh, that's an old photo. This is a completely different animal. And what happens there in that chrysalis? Well, the whole body dissolves into a soup and into the imaginal soup. It's called imaginal because the imago is the adult butterfly that will emerge out of it, but also because it will really trigger your imagination. This is the chrysalis of a painted lady. From all the species, the one I'm showing here the most is the painted ladies because they are quite amazing. They are incredible migrants. And because a painted lady is the main character of the book that I'm presenting, On a Butterfly's Wing, which is the autobiography of a painted lady that lost a wing at some point. And I'll explain what happened there. But while the L5, the fifth instar of the caterpillar turns into a chrysalis, it hardens the outer shell, inside the whole entire body dissolves into this imaginal soup, which is kind of greenish color because they have copper. Like in our blood, we have ferrum, we have iron that brings it reddish color, and insects have copper, which gives it a bluish color. So if you ever find a chrysalis and open it, you'll see that it's kind of bluish because of the hemolymph, I think it is in English. Anyways, the whole entire thing dissolves into a chunky soup. All the components are there. And at the beginning, the system of the caterpillar, the immune system, battles these new kids on the block, which are the imaginal cells, which are these little brown ones. But at some point these imaginal cells start organizing themselves into discs called the imaginal discs. And each disc is positioned in a special part of the body. If you look at this caterpillar, I hope you can see my cursor. You see these bits here. That's where the imaginal disc are attaching the 6 legs, the 4 wings, the antenna, the proboscis, they come from this kind of reorganization of these imaginal discs, and then they pop up like a telescopic kind of um, like a telescope kind of thing. So basically, the whole body resolves and recomposes itself in about 10 to 14 days, which is pretty fast when you think about it. And oh, here I want to show you this. It comes with music. If you don't hear the music, can you tell me? And then I will switch to. But the main thing here is not the music. It's just a quick. I did do this with my phone. I just place the phone there and film this, and I see how they transform these butterflies. Can you hear?
We do. Yes, we hear the music.
Thank you. So basically, that's the emergence of a painted lady, which is a cousin of the monarchs. I will make more comparisons between the two. They are both from the Nymphalidae family, and they are quite amazing creatures, like your monarchs, they are really wonderful. But one of the major changes happens in the eyes, like a caterpillar can only see black and white and really blurry, whereas an adult butterfly sees in full color, has a very accurate vision from 2 centimeters to 200 meters, and it has two kinds of eyes, simple eyes and compound eyes with 17,000 lenses. So they are able to really look at the world in a very different way than we do, and they can perceive more colors than we do. But that's one of the changes. The other amazing change is the digestive system. A caterpillar, it's a herbivore. It just munches on leaves. A butterfly, it's nectivorous. It drinks nectar from flowers, and for that it needs a very special kind of mouth, the proboscis, which when they emerge, if you remember what I just saw you, when this butterfly emerges, the proboscis is divided into two pieces. Here you can see it's also divided. This is a baby born, not a baby born, it's an adult butterfly newly emerged. And this is a very, very good feature for a butterfly, because if they get clogged while they are actually sipping nectar, they can open the proboscis, they can clean it up and close it back again and fuse it like a little straw. So they're pretty good at that. Then another incredible thing about butterflies are, of course, their navigation skills, both the antenna, this is the tip of the antenna, and the wings that take them to the skies. And what is incredible is that in this little hair thin structure, butterflies, especially the migrant ones, like your monarchs and the painted ladies. Actually, you have painted ladies also in the US and in Himalayas. I'll talk more about their geographical distribution. But basically, these migrant butterflies, in their antennas, they have two kind of compasses. They have a sun compass and they have a magnetic compass. And then they have a whole GPS in the Johnston's organ on the base of the antenna. But the sun compass will tell them the time of the day when they emerge from the chrysalis, and the the magnetic compass, they tell them where is north and where is south. So let's imagine your monarch butterflies, which work the exact same way. Once in the spring, they know they have to head north. So when they emerge, wherever they are along the United States, they will know by the sun if it's spring, summer, fall, if it's day or what time of the day, and where is north. And if it's spring, they have to head north. And if it's fall, they have to head south. The same with the painted ladies. And then the amazing wings. The wings have, as you know, tiles like a rooftop, and they are set up in such a way they're incredibly efficient at capturing temperature. In fact, most of the solar panels that we use nowadays are inspired by the structure of the wings of butterflies. So butterflies are not only beautiful and amazing and good pollinators, they have also inspired some of our most amazing technology. And these migrants with this antenna, with high tech. I mentioned the GPS, the Johnston's organ is capable of detecting the wing beats of another butterfly, speed of the wind, and a bunch of, it's like a lot of sensors for wind and temperature. So they are high technology in just something as thin as a hair. And these painted ladies, they just really are amazing travelers. They go there in their annual migration, they do minimum 10,000 kilometers, intergenerational, like your monarchs. You cannot see probably very well, but this map, here is Spain, here is Africa, and these animals go from sub-Saharan Africa. They cross the Sahara Desert in one go. They cross the Mediterranean in one go. They cross the Alps in one go, and they keep going to Norway. Some of them have been found in the Arctic Circle. So that's just an incredible feat for a cold-blooded little butterfly. If you think about it, they are all over the map, as I was showing here before. And there's the Asian painted ladies. They cross the Himalayas. They cross above Mount Everest. They fly above 8,000 meters and cross the Himalayas twice a year. These guys, the ones that live in my side of the world, they, as I said, they cross the Sahara, Spain, they cross through London and the whole of the UK, and they keep going up until they hit the prairies of Norway, where they spend the summers, always avoiding winters. They have a pretty good idea. It's like we don't want to live in the winter, we want a permanent summer, and always looking for good places to breed. So as I was having so much fun with butterflies in my rooftop terrace and working in many other things, but having my little breeding station, my mom became very ill. She had reached 92 years of age, and she was not well. They told us she didn't have many months to live. And we are a very tightly knit family. We're 6 children and many grandchildren, and we're very close. And I was thinking, what can I do for my mom to make it so extra special, so she knows how much we love her, and we can do a special celebration for this Mother's Day. This was maybe February or March 2018, and I thought maybe I should raise a bunch of butterflies for her. So I asked her, it's like, would you like me to bring you some butterflies? Oh, that would be so nice. And then I thought, okay, Mother's Day in Spain is always the first Sunday of May. So if I need to have butterflies by then, I made the calculation and I started breeding butterflies like crazy at home. Here they are mating. And anyways, going through, trying to get as many as I could to make it to Mother's Day. So I was able to get 50 chrysalids, which wasn't, of 100 and something, I only got 50 to make chrysalises. Then I left the other ones at home, put those chrysalises nicely wrapped on tissue, and went from Amsterdam to Malaga, where my mother lived, hoping that they would not pop in the plane, because I thought, my God, if these guys start popping out, what am I going to do? But they all behaved, stayed in the chrysalis, and when I arrived to my mom's home, I started to put them in the what I call the butterfly palace. It's a little pop-up thing where you can, and I hang all the chrysalises. And the next day, my mom, who was almost dying really at the time, but with all the fuss from the butterflies and the children and everybody here in the house, she kind of resuscitated. And it's like, don't leave me alone in the room. I want to be with everybody. So she came to the lunch table, and I thought, look, I bring you one of these butterflies. So I grabbed one of the painted ladies. It's like put her on her finger, and she was looking at it, saying, "Oh, how pretty! It looks so nice." And suddenly, boom, into her soup. So the butterfly wasn't ready to fly. So instead of flying, it plunged right into my mom's soup. And we were freaking out. It's like, oh my God, now what? So we dried it. And when it had lost a wing and it had lost an antenna, and then it's like, well, what do I do with this? I will bring it to the garden, maybe, for the birds and the lizards. Everybody has to kind of eat. And my niece was terrified. It's like, you won't dare to do that. It's like, why not? It's the cycle of life in a way. It's like, no, no, you keep it and we'll have it as a pet. It's like, okay, why not? I like challenges. So let's have a flightless butterfly as a pet. Let's see what happens. So we kept her and called her a Spanish name that it's a very old-fashioned name called Remedios, Reme, which means remedies. Remedies in Spanish is a name, believe it or not. So we knew that this butterfly will need a lot of remedies to make it through life. So we called her Reme or La Reme. So basically, La Reme lived her whole entire life as a wingless butterfly. And I was really carefully, I was learning how to paint at the time. So I was painting and making these little drawings. When did she went through all her stages? And then basically she had a lot of perks because I could take her to the top terrace and let her free because she couldn't fly, she could walk all around. So none of the other butterflies were able to do that and to walk around. You can see how she limped, basically. Look at her. So that was La Reme. And La Reme lived her whole life. And one day I come back from somewhere and I look at her and she's found a boyfriend. And I couldn't believe it because, as you know, butterflies need a courtship dance to mate, and La Reme couldn't fly. So she basically, a guy looked at her, liked her. The thing is that I put her, I didn't explain that. I also had a butterfly palace in Amsterdam. So when I came back from La Reme, I had to sneak her as a stowaway in the plane from Malaga to Amsterdam. I put her in a sandwich place. It looks like it was a sandwich, but it was actually La Reme. And when I arrived home, I had all these animals that I couldn't take home, all the butterflies that I couldn't take to my mom's. They had already started to become butterflies. So I put her with a bunch of butterflies, and everybody was mating. It was nice weather and sunny. And La Reme could only look up, see what it was doing. But one day, she found a boyfriend. And, they mated for a day or something. And then I um, I hoped that she would lay eggs, and she did. She did started laying eggs. She lay for 3 days. She was very slow in comparison with the others. But basically, what I did with all of them, all the ones that could fly, after 2 days after hatching, I would let them go. But of course, La Reme couldn't go anywhere. Poor thing. So at the same time that La Reme was getting very ill and was dying, the same was happening to my mom. So it was very sad days, no, losing somebody that you love so much, like my mom. And then La Reme was like an inspiration for me to learning how to paint and to look after the butterflies. So that's exactly how this book emerged. On a Butterfly Wing was something I promised La Reme. It's like, okay, I know you're gonna die tomorrow because, as you know, butterflies die after laying eggs. And La Reme spent 3 days laying eggs. She was very tired, and I knew she was not gonna make it for much longer. So I said, I promise one thing. I'll try to do whatever I can for butterflies. I don't know what it is, but I promise that I will invest some of my time and energy to support butterflies. And that's how this book came. On a Butterfly's Wing, it's the story, the autobiography of La Reme, intertwined with the story of my mother. Too is a tribute to my mom and all the moms in the world. And what can we learn from butterflies about our own transformation in life? When we look at it each stage, whether it's the chrysalis or a caterpillar, a chrysalis, an adult butterfly, there's so much that they can teach us. So I try to extract all those lessons through the book. And it's a mix of science, the science of transformation. Many of the things I've been explaining to you here, La Reme explains in the book, because the book is an autobiography. So the story is told as from the perspective of a butterfly. And it's not a children's book, although children love it. Like if you read to a child the book, they like it, but it's written for adults and for adolescents and for all of us who have to go through big transformations or big losses in life. It's a reflection upon that with joy, basically. With joy in our hearts, we have to embrace our transformation. This is the way the book looks. It's been published in the UK and in the US under different editorials, and it's available worldwide. And I did all the illustrations and the writing and part of the layout, which I did with my son too. So this is kind of a little family project. It also has the Spanish version, and with the funding from both versions, I've donated everything to the butterflies. And what we do is this work called Regenerating Butterflies, which we use the funding of the book to buy aromatic plants, to plant them in the shape of a butterfly, to feed the butterflies and other pollinators. Some of them are very big, like this is 25 yards by 20 yards. So you see the size of the people there. Others are smaller, and we are conducting this land art project in Spain. We already have like 14 butterflies. This year we're planting 9 more. We always do it in community, bringing grandchildren and grandparents together and just talking about how, with our own hands and creating beauty, we can help pollinators. So far I've raised 18,000 US dollars. So anyways, if you ever have a nice little present to do, we try to keep the price of the book low for the quality of what it is in color and hardcover, because we wanted also young people to be able to buy it, like adolescents and young people in general. So here is some of the butterflies that we plant. When they grow, it gets pretty full. So part of the funding of the book goes to regenerating butterflies, to buying the aromatics and building these hedges in the shape of butterflies. And also I donate all of the English book to Butterfly Conservation Europe, which is an umbrella organization that holds together butterfly conservation organizations in 30, 30 different countries. So basically all of it goes to butterflies. I wanted to show you this. We just planted this last week. This is the proboscis made with salvia plants around a tree. And this was planted together by a group of people that we are working on landscape restoration in Spain. And these activities are really fun to bring communities together, not only grandchildren and grandparents, but like if see, these are the group, this network of, it's called the Iberian Network of Regenerative Territories. And this is a white little thing. So anyways, it's a fun thing to do in community. And it's the biggest land art project that restores nature because it fits the pollinator. And when we happen to have a few hundred of them all over Spain and Portugal, then it'll be definitely a big project. Now we're in the process of making them around and bringing joy to people's hearts. So basically, they are like ice creams for the butterflies. This is another public illustration of the book. And you can plant your own ice cream for the butterflies at home. I'm sure many of you have this, but even from your windowsill or just creating a little patch for pollinators, it creates a huge difference. You need to put also host plants for caterpillars, put them in sunny spots, offer water, do not put pesticides, these kind of things that you will know so well. I think we can all pitch in and do our little thing for the butterflies, which you are already doing. So I'm preaching to the converted, but sometimes I talk about this to people that have never thought or didn't realize that butterflies are in such bad shape. You can also leave these hedges. I do this in my garden too. This is not my garden though, but here's our lists that you can find out online. I think NAVA already has these lists for the United States. They are for different parts of the world. What are the best nectar plants? What are the best food plants? There's so much resources about that online. These are the hedges of one of the butterflies. You see, these are the antenna, and once they start growing, they flower and they get full of butterflies. And another thing I do is I create awareness around the neighborhood. And this is, I live by the River Thames, and this is a little thing that I did with the neighbors. One of my neighbors is David Attenborough on the other side of the river. So I also bring butterflies to him and his daughter. His daughter is now 70 something, but she takes very good care of him. And anyways, this little video is of a little project that I did with my street, the neighbors riding my street. Everybody got their little caterpillar, gave them names. Here's creating the chrysalis. Here's at the top, the white stone. The bears. Oh, can't you see how we can make this bring you into reality? These are all my neighbors. And all the people, they were loving. That's my son. This is a little quote from that. It's quite profound from Maya Angelou. It says, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." And I believe that with people is the same. Even as we get older, our inner beauty shines more when we allowed changes to happen. And when we embrace change, which is inevitable, is the most.
I have trouble hearing.
Yeah, I don't. A ver, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hoped it wasn't through the whole entire thing. But anyways, so at the end of the book, you can see.
That's better.
It's better? Yeah. Anyway, so you can, at the end of the book, there's a lot of resources about inspiration, conservation, observation, and migration of butterflies in general. So you can go beyond just the book to dive into a lot of resources. And basically, that's a little tool for raising funds, for raising awareness, and for raising joy in your heart and embracing your own changes in life. So with that, I will be super happy to answer any questions and grateful that you've been listening through this all the way through. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very touching story about your mother and La Reme, and I really enjoyed hearing it. So we will open the floor to questions. So if people you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, please feel free.
Which plants did you find most productive for attracting butterflies?
Here in the environment where we are in Spain, it's mostly aromatic plants. So oregano, thyme, lavender, rosemary. Those are the main that we use for the butterflies. There's one that they love, Santolina, but of course it depends on which environment you're at. If you're in a place with a lot of rain, those probably won't work. We are in a very dry environment in Spain and becoming drier. So it's mostly aromatic plants are the ones that we use also because they don't require water. So we can plant these butterflies, give them some water at the beginning to the sculptures, but then they take off on their own. They are very sturdy for hot temperatures and lack of water. But I'm sure in your area is completely different. It will depend on your area. Here I have a buddleia, for example, it gets full of pollinators all the time. It's considered invasive here in the UK and also in Spain. But definitely it attracts lots of pollinators. If we're talking about nectar flowers, of course, when we talk about the host plants, that of course is for the painted lady are thistles, for example.
Which do you think is a more critical phase, the nectar or the host plant?
Most critical, as a well, they say that a butterfly more or less lays 500 eggs. Some of them do double than that, but anyways, hundreds and hundreds of eggs. Of maybe only one or two become an adult butterfly, and most of the losses are in the caterpillar stage. Caterpillars feed the world, like they feed all sorts of birds and reptiles, etc. So I think, and butterflies also feed the world. A lot of people eat, a lot of animals eat butterflies, but the most critical time probably it's when they are moving as caterpillars and they cannot escape that much. As chrysalises, I think they hide them pretty well. When I go to find chrysalises, it's not easy to find them. I think they're well hidden, although I'm sure they lose a lot of, they're probably rich in protein and a lot of them get lost. But probably the most sensitive moment is the caterpillar stage.
How many eggs did you raise butterflies from your pet butterfly?
From La Reme,
Yes.
yeah, we think I couldn't count them one by one, but we estimated 300.
Wow. Pretty nice.
But then I cut them in different containers to protect them, and some nasty thing went into one and ate all my little caterpillars. I was devastated. It was so
God.
bad. Yes.
Oh man.
Not all of them, but out of that box, of that and Tupperware that I was putting those eggs, something ate them all when they had already become little caterpillars. Yes.
Spider.
So you didn't get one?
Oh, shit.
How many butterflies actually flew away?
Well, many I took back to Spain because then my mom was dying. So I took the next generation after La Reme, or not only her children, but from other butterflies. I took a bunch again to Spain. That's probably completely illegal to do. So, but but anyways, it was like my mom was dying, and I wanted to do something special, and it was and it's in the migration route of the painted ladies. One thing that was interesting when we released those almost 50 painted ladies, except La Reme, when La Reme lost her wing, all of them each and every one head north, head north. And it's like,
Uh-huh.
man, their compass is working perfectly. Like everybody is from Malaga up to Northern Europe.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know exactly because there's so many, you know, you cannot count it. At some point, it's just it's full of caterpillars everywhere. You just can't count. And anyways, I still work with carnivores and I still work with ecosystems. That's my main thing. But I think butterflies had opened my mind and my world. It's like, oh my God, this is just beyond imagination what these animals can do and how important they are and how, you know, the world should know. I don't think anybody would like a world without butterflies. And they are a good flagship species for talking about insects because nobody wants to conserve insects. Everybody wants them to go extinct and not to bite and all these things.
Right.
But butterflies is a different thing. So I don't know if you remember the first image I show you. Let me put it back of the espera, this one or this species. Continue to share. Oops. Something happened. Anyways, when I show you the black-footed ferret, the Iberian lynx, and all these species, there's something they have in common is that they are animals that are sexy to people. People look at them and said, wow, I like that
Yeah.
animal, like butterflies. So we need those sexy species to talk about the less sexy ones that people don't want to protect.
Right.
And they are very good allies for the natural world. So whenever I put a lot of effort into a species, I hope it's quite sexy because it allows it to be the hook to conserve a whole ecosystem that upon which they depend and we depend, you know, because it's not that we are separated from that. There's a whole web of life that we're part of, and what we do to nature, we're doing to ourselves. And nature will go on, but we may not if we go too far with what we're doing. Well, I didn't want that sad note, but it's kind of true.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. What butterfly organization in the UK would be more or less equivalent to NABA? Interested in conservation as well as field trips and butterfly counts.
Yes, that would be butterfly conservation. It's called like that, BC.
BC.
If you enter butterfly conservation, UK, for example, the organization here, it's but there's one is what Butterfly Conservation Europe, which is larger, and it includes Butterfly Conservation UK. But Butterfly Conservation UK is the oldest one. It's been doing surveys of butterflies for so many decades. It has the best data, at least in Europe, and they do a lot of conservation. They have a very strong conservation component. So if you want, let me, I can put it on the chat, what is their website, but that would be the equivalent of NAVA.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm a member of RSPB, and I wondered what the butterfly equivalent might be for that,
Yes,
Yeah.
butterfly conservation. The chairman is David Attenborough, and they do a lot of conservation work in the city. Now they're having a big program on butterflies in the city, how to recover butterflies in urban areas.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You commented about sexy species. One of the things that many of us have commented on is the disappearance of skippers, grass skippers that used to be very common. Their host plants are certainly abundant. And you wonder if there's been any specific attention on them.
In butterfly conservation in the UK, definitely yes. But I mean, of course, the diminishing of the host plants and everything, but also toxicity. We put so much stuff, there's so much stuff that we put in the environment in terms of pesticides and everything, that. So, but I'm not, as I said, my specialty is carnivores. That's what I do. This butterfly thing was like a side thing that captivated my heart completely. And ever since but I know much less than you about butterflies. But I learned a lot as I was raising mine there in the terrace. I was observing and learning and reading a lot. And that was a joy.